back to Open Your Eyes. We are jumping into our second conversation this morning, and it's all about exploring the Maya Creating Civilization exhibit. This morning we have with us several representatives to talk to us about this upcoming event. Joining us is Ronaldo Cocom, and he is the director of the Institute for Social and Cultural Research. We were just talking about you guys early this morning. Also joining us is Dr. Melissa Badillo, and she is the director of the Institute of Archaeology. And also with us is Ilona Smiling, the director of the Museum of Belize. Guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning.
And welcome.
Thank you for having us.
I know Isani mentioned this morning that he is certainly looking forward to this conversation, and I have to say equally the same. It's always interesting when we are looking at a bit of history with the Maya people, and to, of course, hear an exhibit, an opportunity for persons to come and join and learn a bit at the Museum of Belize is an opportunity in and of itself. Let's talk about the Maya Creating Civilization exhibit.
Well, of course, it's the new exhibit that we have. It opens tomorrow, and then it will be available to the public on Thursday. So with this exhibition, we decided to actually focus on 3 different themes, which is the agriculture, ceramic and stone, and fashion and jade. And what we're trying to achieve is to showcase the history of these themes, but also show how it's being used today. So we are operating from a very educational standpoint, but we also wanted to make it visually appealing so that it's attractive to our audience. And one of the more amazing parts of this exhibition is the fact that we decided to incorporate more technology in it. So we have this huge touchscreen TV that will feature 3D images of the ceramics that was made possible through the Institute of Archaeology, through the Polycam program. So whatever you don't see on the exhibit, you will also have access to through this program that we're doing. And of course, you know, the information gathering, all that was done in partnership with ISCR. So this really and truly is a cross-institutional exhibition, and we couldn't be more proud of the product that we are putting out for our audience.
This, of course, comes right off the heels of celebrating Indigenous People Resistance Day. Is there a bit of intention in placing this exhibit so close to our celebration that we just had?
Well, it does mean that we get less sleep, but more food. And so we can't complain too much. You're right, over the weekend we had several activities celebrating Indigenous Peoples Resistance Day. From Belmopan to Ernjoak to Corozal. And I was mentioning earlier that this weekend I had 3 bowls of soup, and I'm a soup lover, so that was not a problem for me. There was a chicken pipian, which is essentially a stewed chicken with some herbs, but it's mostly noted for the pepitas, grinded pepitas that it's covered over the chicken and baked and then placed into a stew. And you get served with corn tortilla, and corn tortilla is a reflection of that Maya heritage and that Maya history that we're talking about. And then just some other ones, of course, the relleno in Ernjoak.
My personal favorite.
Excellent, excellent. And then I was mentioning the caldo, and the caldo with roasted pork, and that was delicious in Belmopan, where there was a big celebration on the deer dance, which took place over 4 days. And so I give big respect to the communities for taking on these initiatives. The Tony Masewalon group in Corozal and the Northern Maya Association in Ernjoak. And of course our brothers and sisters in Toledo, who did not have a formal event, but they did have ongoing conversations over the past few weeks through the Julian Trust Society and the Maya Leaders Alliance and so on, doing important work, resisting really, because they're still faced with challenges in protecting their lands. And that's ongoing with the government of Belize, and the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs also making its commitment in terms of a press release saying they're open to dialogue and fostering the spirit of indigenous resistance. And so I think there's a lot of challenges that one could point to when it comes to the indigenous communities in Belize, including the Garifuna culture, which also issued, I think, several small initiatives and press releases saying they also acknowledge this day as a day of reflection for indigenous peoples in Belize. And there's been ongoing other conversations which I don't know if we have the time to get into whether the Creole are indigenous group, and so there's a lot to discuss when it comes to this aspect of being indigenous. But essentially, what it means, I think, is that the UN defines it as a group that has a non-Western worldview, a non-Western set of rituals and practices and way of approaching the world that is important to be valued. And that is what I think occurred over this weekend, and we celebrate. And this exhibit, one of the things that I like about it is the insert of creating. You know, we've always talked about the ancient Maya. Archaeologists love to talk about the ancient Maya, but talking about the Maya creating civilization means that there's still an ongoing creation. Yes, there's been a gap in terms of the historical record. Obviously, our Maya brothers and sisters are not living in these temples that are part of the reserves that Dr. Badillo and her team help to manage. But there's a rich culture that lays the bedrock, I think, for a lot of the things that we do, a lot of things that we eat in Belize.
It's interesting that you would say that, Rolando, simply because when we look at ancient Maya civilization and how advanced and well beyond their time they would have been, and you look at how the present day Maya have assimilated into our Belizean society, you can't see that gap if you look at it to say, well, they're no longer living at these sites and what have you. But it shows you how far ahead they were in terms of being able to create societies amongst themselves. And you look at this span of the civilization across this part of the world. It's expansive.
And that's one of the nice features of this exhibit, actually, is that we're looking at the fundamentals or the basic blocks of their civilization and how that transcends into today's modern societies and the modern Maya communities that we have. You know, they're still focused a lot on agriculture, and so that is one of the big features in this exhibit. And today the communities are a lot involved in farming and still maintain those traditions. When you look at the clothing, their jewelry, you know,
ceramics,
the foods, the ceramics, people are still doing these things. Maybe not at the scale and at the level they were doing it 3,000 years ago, but it's still happening today. And you know, this exhibit allows you to look at it and look at those different perspectives and see, you know, what our ancestors were doing so long ago, and that the traditions are still carrying on today.
I'd say that's definitely one of the features that we wanted to highlight. It was not just to show these three themes and the way it was done in the past, but to show you those who are continuing the methods that they're using. And we actually do have I call them display windows because it's a huge window in which we are featuring contemporary designs from Mayan artisans from all over, and what we're hoping to do is to have that showcased over and over, like feature different artists within that showcase so that you can make that connection between the past and the future, or the present.
Excellent.
I should say.
Who will be able to attend this exhibit?
Ilona controls the guest list, so if you've not been invited, please look at her.
Yes. Is this open to everyone, or is it a control group?
Well, we have the first official opening. Of course, we always do the official openings. And then after that, like I said, it is then open to the public on Thursdays. And please remember that the museum is free for Belizeans on Saturdays. We're open from 9 to 4.
Wonderful. Yeah. One of the things that I would have, I'm not sure, you can tell me if it's accessible through the 501, is it Academy 501?
Access 501.
Yeah,
Access 501 platform that was recently launched. I think that would be a perfect pairing.
Yes, so I do believe the intention is to try and create like a virtual exhibit that we could also have on that platform, similar to the way we did with MOBA.
Yes.
MOBA is, we have a 3D component to that you could access through the platform. And I do believe that the Polycam program is available on the platform as well, and you will be able to access that through the touch screen. But you will also be able to access it through one of the other galleries that we have, which is the Meg Craig Entomology Room, which was done in partnership with the Ministry of Education. So yes, we really and truly appreciate all the partners that have worked with us for this, it's a part of the larger conversation that we're having about promoting our history, our education, and ensuring that all departments are on the same page with that. So yeah, exciting.
Yes, and kudos to you guys as well for putting this initiative together, this exhibition together to further educate and sensitize the public. How often do you get tourists coming in? Do you get a lot of tourists visiting the museum?
Yes, we do. And then, like I said, we are hoping that with the new exhibition that we get more visitation to the museum. And as I said before, the purpose of this exhibition is to educate, but to also be visually appealing to visitors when they come in. And this speaks to the design and the layout of the exhibition as well. Sometimes we have a tendency to want the space to be overpopulated with too many things, and it doesn't give you the time you need to actually sit down, reflect, and understand. And that's the beauty with this exhibition, that we're giving you the space and we're trying to focus on the items itself so that you can, put to context what it is that you're seeing.
Is this
one of the new features that we have also is that we're trying to move away from that traditional museum feel where you just see items behind a glass case. The whole interactive portion of the exhibit is to allow visitors to come in and interact more. And I feel that you get more with the artifacts and the different pieces that are showcased there, because you can actually zoom in, turn it upside down, flip it, front way, back way. And there's a lot more interaction to be gained from that than just passing by, looking at something in a showcase.
People want an experience. They want something that they can remember. And you're right, gone are the days of these traditional exhibitions. They want to touch, they want to interact. And of course, technology is going to be one of those big integrations in I imagine, any exhibition here on out. But simply just having the opportunity to hold some of those pieces from decades, centuries ago is also something that no technology can really replace that.
Is this something that you guys would consider taking on the road if needs be?
Quite a task that would be.
Yes, when it comes to handling the artifacts, I would not say that it's impossible. It's just though to have a traveling exhibition of that magnitude with all the artifacts, it would be it would have some logistical implications.
Having it in the technology aspect of it is much easier to do so, because you can share, some of these pieces are already shared on the Access 501 platform, and having the digital files moving from site to site is quite easy, as opposed to moving the actual artifacts.
But you know what? I think I may accept that challenge and try to do a traveling exhibition. I think we could put that thing.
Maybe not the entire thing. Maybe
certainly.
I'll try and make this work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let us know first when you actually do it, okay? Because he brought it up. Well, guys, as we wrap up this conversation, I'll ask you if you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our viewers.
Yes, definitely. Thank you to the entire Museum of Belize staff for being fully on board with this exhibition, doing everything. I have to give a special shout out to Miss Janelle Carcomo and Miss Alicia Brown for doing their thing when it comes to setting up. And again, especially shout out to the IA team who have been there with us every step of the way, again with the ISCR team, but everybody at Niche, thank you so much for your support with this one. This is a good one, but yeah.
No, my words is to say to our communities and listeners out there, we want to pay homage to our Maya descendants and ancestors. The historical debt that we owe for this can never be repaid, and institutionally we have also, sad to say, contributed to the struggle that Maya descendants have had to face. And so this is one way of us saying that we need to keep the doors open, and we are welcoming as much as possible Belizeans to visit this exhibit. And tourists are also welcome, but more and more we recognize that Belizeans don't have a solid knowledge and appreciation of our Maya culture, and so that is what this exhibit aims to do, and we welcome further feedback and areas for improvement as we hopefully taking on this challenge to bring it around, maybe through the houses of culture, which Director Lona manages, and make more Belizeans aware of this vibrant heritage, so that we can continue this work.
Yeah, absolutely. We invite and encourage everyone to come out and take advantage of the accessibility that we have now to interact with not only our ancestors, the work of our ancestors, but what traditional communities are doing today, and you know, highlighting their important heritage and what it means for us all as Belizeans.
If I could just make a step there into that conversation, is that one of the persons that we do feature in this exhibit is an employee of the Institute of Archaeology, Mr. Jorge Khan, who is, in my view, probably the best expert in the region at conserving our these Maya temples that are preserved through time. He's very skilled in restoration efforts. I mean, Dr. Badio can brag about him more than I can, but I've just witnessed how brilliant he is at this, and it speaks to this cultural continuities. Yes, there's been a huge disruption because of colonialism, but there is a lot to be proud of and a lot to celebrate.
So will he be at the exhibition?
He will be there, yes, for the opening. And as soon as you go to an archaeological site, you're bound to meet up with him because he's always on the go out in the field.
Mention Archaeology Day.
And we do have Archaeology Day on Friday. So if you missed the opening of the exhibit, we do have a highlight coming up on this Friday where we're hosting our annual Archaeology Day at the museum, and Dr. Khan will be there.
Wonderful. You know, one of the questions that we often get is, how are you guys able to source the artifacts that are on display at the Museum of Belize or through these various presentations and events?
Our artifacts usually come by way of excavations that take place every year. We have about 30 different archaeological research projects that take place in Belize all across the country, and so every year we build on that collection. And actually the part with the technology, the 3D documentation of these artifacts, is a result of our ongoing and long-term commitment to preserving our national collection and ensuring that we have records of these artifacts moving forward. And so it provides us an easy way to share those with Belizeans as well as other visitors.
And that shows the relationship that you guys have to have, because the archaeologists, they find these artifacts. Of course, ISCR do
living communities. You know?
Yeah.
So and that's where ISCR has to work with them.
Yes.
But then we also need that space to showcase them when we have.
Yeah, of course, you guys are the researchers that tell the story, and then the Museum of Belize shares that.
Interpret that and make it, you know, digestible to our audience.
Beautiful relationship.
Yes,
Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we wish you guys all the best.
Thank you.
So much.
All right, we are going to take another quick break, and when we come back, the conversation switches into raising awareness for the Belize Kidney Association.